As long as no nuts and bolts falls off it. We saw Sean Burgoyne tossing the coin. I guess with no Treadray and late in his final year, not here today. Is it an eye to the future?
Oh, I think so, yeah. They've got everyone you talk to. I don't know Sean Burgoyne very well at all, but everyone you talk to says he's a really good leader. Very, very quiet young man. But you saw Judd and Sean Burgoyne tossing the coin. Yeah, that's the two Rolls Royces of our competition. They're just absolute class. You can see there Favola and Cruz are starting deep forward as well for Carlton. DeLuca will play a big role this afternoon as the backup ruckman to Brogan with no Lade. And there's Motlop as well.
Looks like Burgoyne's going head-to-head with Judd at the moment, at least at the centre bounce. Cassisi's going on to Gibbs, so that's an interesting one. He may slip over onto Judd, obviously, and Stevens, well, he's got his minder as well.
It'll be a tough nut in there, Logan, as you see. Likes to get a bit of body on his players. Wouldn't be a lot of love lost between Nick Stevens and Port Adelaide, I wouldn't think.
No, I wouldn't think so. Daniel Pearce on the wing, one of my favourite players. Want to see him fire up, and he's being picked up by Armfield.
Runners already multiply out onto the ground. Lots happening as we get underway from the Telstra Day. Umpire Shane McInerney, who umpired last year's grand final, has the honours, but we can't get the ball out of the centre circle for the moment.
Tom, hey Tom.
You can see there a little bit of a mix-up there. Kane Corns has gone to Judd, as we suspected. Hot Scotland trying to give him a chop out there.
Brogan to Sean Burgoyne. Kane Coins with a quick touch. Chaplin, one of 4 changes for the Port Adelaide team that were here last week and lost to St Kilda. Pearce, not his best effort. Westhoff taken in the back. No free kick forthcoming. Carlton looked to scramble it away from the danger zone. Up to the wing. Coming in solidly, Pettigrew dragged off the ball. And the Blues, good courage from Gibbs, hands it over to Stevens. Retreating at the moment, Carazzo gets involved as well, and Saddington, his first game of the year, looked a little rusty as he worked it in the direction of Jared Waite, and now out of bounds.
Mark Murphy started out of the square. He's a high-quality player, dangerous player. Nick Lower's been given a role on him.
Brogan wrestles his way to the front spot. Cloaker over the back. Cassisi, tremendous ball winner. Top 10 in the league in contested possessions. Bravery again from Bryce Gibbs. Judd at close quarters. This is Stewart trying to barge his way through. Not getting too much change there from Sean Grigg. Battle of wills at the moment, and it's Carlton who break the shackles. Favola on the lead.
Well, they just won the contested footy there a couple of times, and it all came from Bryce Gibbs. Have a look at this one. Cassisi looked up forward, but a nice smother there, and a good setup by Grigg.
Well, it was a good hit up, Jared, because it was a weighted kick. You know, the drilling passes look fantastic when they come off, but players like Favola, they just want it out in front, and he could be the big danger between a Carlton win and Port Adelaide potentially this afternoon. This man here.
He's been a goal kicker in all 18 games so far this season. We'll have to wait a little longer to get his first, though, in round 19.
Jared, I'll be interested to ask you about Bryce Gibbs. Now, we know he's played run with roles with Goods and these side of players, and he's been doing it beautifully. Today, Port Adelaide have said, right, we'll see who you go with Cassisi on your back pocket all day.
Well, it's just going to depend on who wins that battle, because I see Gibbs is trying to push on to Burgoyne. Cassisi's trying to get onto him.
Cruiser unloads, goes to the goal square. Sean Burgoyne gets back to relieve some pressure.
Eventually, I think he's going to end up being tagged, but I tend to like having midfield set up where other guys have got responsibilities, and I think that therefore you can control from the coach's box, a bit like the Swans have done over the recent years.
Well, it's the mix and match, I should say, of trying to get your matchups right, isn't it?
Oh, Carlton forcing the error here. Port Adelaide not too convincing. Pettigrew's coughed it up. A chance for Andrew Walker to kick the first goal of the game, and the Blues are away.
Well, a couple of errors then, and the first one was by Carlisle. At least he went in after it again, but then the errant handball, and you're in the back half of the ground, you just can't cough the ball up like this. That's a terrible handball, but at least he went again.
Yeah, but he
that was a
backed
good
it up,
effort.
I think, with another one, or wasn't him?
No, it was Pettigrew, and that's a hit and hope, and you just can't do it. You're better to get tackled, take the tackle, and hope the umpire gives you the benefit of the doubt, because to handball it and hope into space, you're just asking for trouble. And Andrew Walker, who's been pretty good since he's come back from his shoulder.
Here we go, fellas. Straight at it.
Worrying signs early for Port Adelaide. Walker gets his 3rd goal of the season. Only his 4th game after coming through that shoulder injury in the pre-season. Cloak and Brogan at it again. Cassisi, inventive. Sean Burgoyne. Again, Carlton shutting down Port Adelaide at the moment. Logan with problems.
Got to try and throw on his boot. Hard to do.
Nick Lower holding the ball.
Just good pressure from Carlton. There were 2 or 3 Port blokes trying to get a handball away, and maybe this isn't a window to the match, but in the first 5 minutes, pretty clear that the pressure of Carlton better than Port's.
32 of the 36 players in Carlton's half of the ground, a congested forward line, so the Blues are going to have to think their way through this. Carazzo squares the ball.
Well, Brogan's pushed back to stand in front of Favola for that extra bit of support. Logan's guarding a bit of grass as well.
And good defence here by Port. Got the numbers back and won it back.
Westhoff having trouble reeling it in.
Just on Dean Brogan, or suggestions on Melbourne radio during the week that Carlton have already offered him a contract for next season if he doesn't come to terms with Port.
Is that right?
Greg looking for Favola again. It's the 1-2 punch for the second time in the game.
Again, they're just chopping it up. The Port, just their disposals let them down.
Not sure that Dean Brogan's the answer for Carlton with the way their list is being built.
They have a history of taking Port Adelaide ruckman. Barnaby French has been there, done that. Kane Ackland another. Now, Favola kicked a goal from this range and this angle last week.
He's getting a little bit of wind that's swinging left post to right post. He's going to have to hit it at the left post. But he's got this ability, Favola, to make these kicks look pretty simple for some unknown reason.
I think that was the policeman in Kieran Nichols coming out there. Wanted him right on the line and nowhere else from the 50. The Fev goes bang.
Too skinny.
To the near side, a minor score. Doing all the attacking at the moment, Carlton. Peter Burgoyne to restart for Port Adelaide.
It's a great kick here.
Charging is Logan. Takes the mark.
They've got to pass the Carlton zone. That was clever play.
Kane Corns lunges forward to take the mark.
Thank you.
How high do you rate Kane Corns? He's had 9 30-plus possession games this year. He plays mainly as a run-with role.
One of the most consistent players that we've seen, I think, in the last 10 years. Just rarely lets you down. I think he could be more damaging with his own disposals, but he does the job on high-quality players each and every year.
Wonderful kick.
Salter going long for Ebert. Got goal side there of Grigg. Works around the body, but didn't bring it back enough.
Just had one of those years, says Brett Ebert. I mean, they are not an easy shot, but for a player of his skill on his left side, that's bread and butter.
First score of the game for Port Adelaide took 6.5 minutes. Good running here from Sean Hampson, the late inclusion for Eddie Betts. Certainly not like for like there in that exchange. In the middle.
Cruiser to full forward.
Stevens.
Out the front.
Scotland looking to shrug a tackle.
Chicken wing.
Chicken wing.
Yeah, he was winged.
Peter Burgoyne's pushed forward here. They're going to find a loose player if they switch on.
Thank you. This out, please, Tom.
Good tackle.
Hampson stuck back in there into the hole.
Roden has Brogan available, heads in that direction. He can go wider. Took them on. And a chance now for Stewart, who unloads, but a minor score. Let's go to Rowan Smith.
And boys, young Ryan Williams just come on for his first run in AFL footy. He was actually out, and Dean Brogan didn't give it to him. So I'm sure he'll run around and try and get a touch in the next couple of minutes.
Carlton go to Murphy. Did that well. And the Blues are off and running. Fisher brings the ball back inside. Coming out strongly there was Ryan Williams, the first gamer.
Did
now
really
Pearce,
well then, John.
Peter Burgoyne measures the pass on the lead here. Salter, who made his debut last week. Ebert now inside the 50. The target is Motlop. Works to the front. Spoiled from the back from Jared Waite. Motlop comes again. Waite equal to the challenge for the moment. Outnumbered, but still goes. And Judd will get them outside the defensive 50. Armfield gets involved as well.
Look at Gibbs.
In the middle of the ground.
Cruiser long.
Gibbs mishandled it twice. Allowed Cassisi in, but they have numbers. Chance now for Nick Stevens. Inside the square, finds Cruiser.
Great lead and good vision from Nick Stevens. But right now the Clang account is at an all-time high for both sides. We are seeing a shocking match at the present time, and a couple of players with the polish need to get the ball in their hand. And we've just seen it with Judd getting it over to Stevens. There was a fumble by Gibbs in the middle, but this bloke I'm not sure he's kicked it behind in AFL football
He hasn't.
yet.
He's kicked 3 straight against Port Adelaide the last time he played, and he makes no mistake.
Well, that's an outstanding kick. In fact, have a look at young Solder here. That's intelligent play for a bloke in only his second match. He's got a footy brain, and we know he's a big kick.
Look at this kick too, Jared.
I love
he
the
held
vision.
onto it. He had to get it over Brogan, and he did. Brogan was there in front of that. You can see him. He's pushing back to help out in front of Favola. And you're right about Cruiser. He's just a
He
beautiful
doesn't
set
miss.
shot.
No, I like him, and I think that's his future. He's going to be a pretty good midfielder, but he can go forward, back up the Fev.
El Cruiser at 19 years of age, the youngest player in the game today. Rising Star nominee in round 11. We played 9.5 minutes in the first quarter. Carlton with a 2-goal lead. Simpson hands over to Nick Stevens. Measures the pass. Did a good job to reel that in there, Armfield.
And a
Took
good
them
job to
on.
get a foot to it too.
Pearce supplies the tackle. Going Carlton with numbers. Grigg is there. Scoops up the ball with the left foot. Unloads from 40. Likes it. They kick 2 in a minute.
Well, Jared, I reckon there's one player already that's a bit off the leash, and it's Nick Stevens. When he gets his hands on the footy, something invariably happens. Good defensive spoil, but look at the numbers are. They're everywhere. And they fell off him here. Enabled him to get onto his left. He was desperately trying to get to his left foot. And exactly the start Carlton wanted. I tend to agree with you that the turnover errors at the moment are probably hurting Port Adelaide a little bit more than they are Carlton.
Yeah, they've been horrible butchering the footy going forward, Port, and it's hurting them on the scoreboard.
10.5 minutes played. 3 goals to zip. Carlton making all the early running here.
There he is again, Nick Stevens.
Just wanted a little more than Port at the moment. Carazzo retreats. Jamison trying to measure the pass. He had multiple options all alone. Gibbs was thinking about Grigg, but instead goes for Cade Simpson. Handball from Simpson inside the attacking 50. Now they retreat to Judd. He works the ball looking for Cruiser. This is too easy at the moment for Carlton.
Well, they're flooding back, Port, but they're not getting the pressure up on the ball carrier, and therefore the likes of Cruiser coming from behind the flood and still finding some space. Nice delivery from Chris Judd.
Well, you mentioned it earlier, Jared. This will test his kicking. Get the ball into the hands of the blokes, the cream. They can use the footy. Nick Stevens and Judd are those 2 players for Carlton.
Even his mongrels go through.
Got it low, just on enough on the kick, another minor score.
Do we count that as a point to him, or is that a rush?
That was a failed pass.
19-point advantage after less than 12 minutes of action.
And Fev's had 2 shots a goal and hasn't missed. I mean, right now, Carlton are obliterating Port Adelaide, and they need to find a bit of spark.
Pettigrew paid the mark. Quick release. Logan.
Logan.
Just bumped off the ball by Murphy, taking the kick. Westhoff with the sticky fingers, looks inside. Ryan Williams, the first gamer. Unprotected goal square, goes for home, but hasn't got the accuracy.
Good stuff from Justin Westhoff. I believe he was very good last week. Just excellent skills, good class. Dished out the handball quickly.
Saddington restarts to find Michael Jamison. Port Adelaide have manned up a little better on this occasion.
Carlton have got players, where he marked that ball, Jamison, on both sides. So players 60 metres out that go over the first kick in the zone. So they're happy to use that player at the moment.
Grigg getting involved to wait.
Means Port Adelaide might have to just adjust their zone a little bit for the kick-ins.
Saddington up from full-back. Grigg supplies the run in the middle of the ground. Going out wide. Cruiser on the lead.
Good effort. Good effort.
Courageous work.
Paul Stewart.
Going back with the flight of the ball, Stewart.
Coming off a near BOG last week, Paul Stewart, outstanding for Port Adelaide. And that's going to hold him in good stead for the rest of his career, that move.
Cassisi finds Sean Burgoyne. Not one Port Adelaide player in their attacking 50 at the moment, though.
You're right, Gibbs now with the job. Well, he's probably had the job from the start, but the matchups in the centre square are always hard to pick up, Jared.
Motlop is happy to hold on to it for the moment and try and break the momentum and the rhythm of Carlton. Given the hurry up now, uses Brogan.
Well, you can see there, look at the numbers in the midfield and the corridor. Nothing to square to, really. A lot of numbers back. Not a player inside Carlton's front half of the ground.
Peter Burgoyne just hits it to centre half forward. Judd there, couldn't control it. Westhoff just knocks it forward. Blues with some work to do. They're going to win a free kick here.
Down on the boundary line, Rowan Smith, they just look a bit flat, Port.
Yeah, Jared, look, like, I mean, they're just getting sieved. Obviously, they're out trying to get numbers back into the hole. But just on Paul Stewart, just with that courageous effort, just came straight to the ground, off the ground, spoke to the doctor, got a little bit of a knock to the head, but looks okay, should be back on.
Well, intelligent work there from Cameron Cloak. The Blues off and running for Vola at the back. Carlisle gets a hand on it. Chaplin in support. Ball over the boundary line.
Well, it's a good spoil by Adelaide. Hopefully he gets his nomination for the Rising Star between now and the end of the season, because I think from a consistency perspective, he's been one of the best players in that young brigade all season. And almost a failed shot, but good defence there by Port Adelaide.
Almost 15 minutes played in the first quarter. Kane Corns, can he get there in time? Right on the boundary line, keeps it alive. Looks inside, hand pass for Brogan, about to be run down by Hampson. Did that well for Logan. Chip kick over the top, was looking for Peter Burgoyne, but it went straight to Carazzo.
Just unforgivable. You've got to be able to pass 20 metres in this competition.
Fisher the target here, got away from Chaplin. He takes the mark. Wants to give it off. Simpson was available. Now he's looking for Murphy, and it's cut out by Pettigrew. Charging away from half back. First gamer, Williams.
Nothing on long at all, except Jared Waite in the hole. Someone's got to push forward and give him some support.
Peter Burgoyne dispossessed. He's holding the ball. They're going up and down on the spot at the moment, Port Adelaide.
You can see the frustration on Peter Burgoyne's face. If you're standing inside forward 50, you've got to actually move. You can't stand there like a statue when you've got loose players. You've got to try and at least make it a 2-on-1.
Jared Waite measures the pass, and he finds Wiggins. Off to Scotland. 55 out to the hot spot. Blues unable to control the mark. Pettigrew knocks it away. Only as far, though, as Murphy. Pushes his teammate Simpson out of the way. Now goes for Fisher.
Ugly at the moment for Port. No real good signs. They've got the ball to the midfield a couple of times. And as we just saw, Peter Burgoyne, no options, no work rate. And Mark Murphy had time to fumble and still find Fisher, and Troy Chaplin just cannot believe it. It's his man. Can't believe the turnover.
18 goals, 18 this season for Fisher. So a 50-50 proposition. Misses to the near side.
Seeing a lot of players out there at the moment with their arms, flailing their arms about. Now, at some stage, you've got to take some responsibility for when you have the ball yourself. Now, if you're turning it over, don't go waving your arms around if you're not getting any support. And I'm not talking about Peter Burgoyne here. This is the sort of stuff that's second rate. Really.
Roden will try and clean up the mess created by Pettigrew.
But there's no one moving. Ebert's got to work hard here to push it and make an option.
Logan had plenty of it. To Pearce. Motlop leads, but the Pearce kick was woeful. Port with big problems. This is Nick Stevens. Here come the Blues again. Getting back, Fisher. And Chaplin happy to defuse the situation and hoist it over the boundary line.
He's played most of his footy as a half-back, Troy Chaplin. I just wondered today whether or not the experiment could be made and push him up forward as the get-out-of-jail man. Just have him deep, big body, he can run hard, he can run fast. Just see if he can play that forward role.
Brogan works to the front, wins the tap. Ball bypass Sean Burgoyne. Now he gets it, but it was a throw.
Wouldn't want to be remonstrating too much. Could be a 50. I reckon it was a throw too. I reckon the umpire got it spot on. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's a throw. No arguing about that for Michael Pettigrew.
Umpire Jacob Morrison in his first season making the call. Walker kicked the first goal of the game at the 3-minute mark. Played almost 19 minutes. Looking at his second. Off the boot. Looks sharp. It is good. Carlton have kicked the first 4.
Well, why don't we go down to Rowan Smith and find out what can Mark Williams do, Smithy, to just liven things up here?
Well, Jerry, look, obviously they've got to get it into their forward line. Their forward line's getting very frustrated at the moment. Justin Westhoff is just coming from the ground now. One player who's getting really frustrated is Daniel Motlop. He can lose the plot a little bit, but hopefully he can find the footy. They've got to move the ball quickly and get it into their forward line quickly.
There is Motlop patrolling the forward line at the moment. Hasn't seen a lot of the ball.
Jared Waite must enjoy playing AFL footy. He just basically plays a loose man in defence, just picks up these sort of kicks. Picks them off as they come forward.
High, here he is on cue. Waite couldn't take the mark, farms out the handball for the run of Stephen Brown. He's going forward looking for Simpson. Right there with him, Surgeon. Good spoil. Stevens against his former team comes in solidly. Roden running it with a little more poise now. Sean Burgoyne for the pass. He couldn't take the mark. Motlop under pressure there from Michael Jamieson.
They got a couple of big outs, have Port Adelaide. Travis Boak was an early omission or a late omission today. Salopek's missing from the midfield. And Warren Treadray obviously not playing. But they're just not looking like it at the moment. They need to find a spark from a couple.
Again, Surgeon putting his body on the line. Carlton are all over them at the moment and winning a free kick as well.
Well, Judd's pushed free. You could see Kane Corns there looking for Judd, who immediately said he saw he was on the bottom of the pack and just thought, I'll push forward, get dangerous.
Jared Waite looking for Saddington. Takes it centre wing. Inboard, Gibbs. By hand. They've got numbers again here. Saddington.
Cruiser's a man.
First game of the year for Saddington. Wobbles it off the boot for Vola with a stretch. Couldn't complete it. Nick Stevens in the pocket. Tight angle. Brogan, a saving mark.
Jason Saddington, he's got to kick better than that. He's trying to re-win his spot back in the side. And mongrels don't do it for you.
Peter Burgoyne didn't have a lot to go to. Kick partially smothered, knocked down by Scotland. Waite is there, given a lot of latitude, but eventually got rid of it. Jamieson squaring the ball. Gibbs in the middle. He has Murphy. Cruiser on the lead. Favola doubling back to the goal square. It's the big man they want, though. The first touch, couldn't complete it. Lurking there, Russell as well. Port Adelaide with numbers, though. I haven't been convincing in the last line of defence so far. And Carlton continue to force it forward, and it's rushed through for a minor score.
Well, we've played 22 minutes in this first quarter, and the warning signs for Port Adelaide are shocking. Their midfield, look at that, 6 marks inside 50 to Carlton, none to Port Adelaide. And I don't blame their defence for this. Their defence are trying to manfully, but their midfield aren't working. They're standing around. They're actually just allowing Carlton to switch play, and when they do switch play, there's no direct, I'm not going to go and find my direct opponent. I'm not running hard through the midfield to try and help out. I'm sort of half carting around, half back, waiting for an easy kick on the way out. They've got to work a bit harder than this. This is ordinary.
Yeah, their work rate's like the Connex train I tried to catch last night. Just hasn't shown up.
Well, the only positive thing we can say about it is that it is
early.
Can only get better from here.
Well, and Carlton have kicked 4 goals, 5.
A little over 3 minutes left until quarter time.
13-6 inside 50s, John. And they're getting deep entries. I reckon those 6 entries for Port are lucky to have got it inside 40 in a lot of occasions. They've got it just inside the 50, and we're probably counting that as an inside 50 at the moment. They've been really disappointing.
Brogan, front position. Ball scored over the line there by Cameron Cloak. We saw Dean Bainley, a former Port Adelaide assistant coach, give a good spray at quarter time 24 hours ago. Wonder if Mark Williams might be thinking along similar lines.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether Chogo would waste his breath at the moment on sprays. This is about internal stuff. Players know they can't make the 8. That's more like it. Somebody having a crack from behind.
Armfield hands over. This is Mark Murphy. Across the face of goal, a minor score. They're letting Port Adelaide off the hook.
And there's one gone missing for Mark Murphy. Not sure why he tried to bend it. Had the capacity to go round.
My old coach, my former coach, Malcolm Blight, would have just said, why would you do that? Yeah, we're running straight at the goals. A drop punt would have been sufficient.
Yeah.
Rather than laying across, take the percentages out of it, and just kick a drop punt.
DeLuca couldn't complete the mark. Cassisi gave it up to Grigg, quickly onto the boot. only as far as Pettigrew. 28 of the 36 are in Carlton's attacking half at the moment. So Pettigrew's going to have to kick to a contest. DeLuca outnumbered. Took the mark against Cameron Cloke after Walker just fell off. Played only 3 games last year, Fabian DeLuca, and 3 the year before. Still trying to cement a spot. West off the target, couldn't take the mark, found it on the ground. Here's Kasisi, invariably at the bottom of the pack, throwing his body on the line. Nick Salter, who was impressive last week. Cade Simpson tackles him.
Now, Jared, this is the one I'm talking about with Mark Murphy. Great releasing handball.
Yep.
He's running straight at the goals. I'm not sure why he put it around his body. I mean, is that an area of his game Mark Murphy needs to get a bit better at, Jared?
I think his kicking is an area where he's going to get a lot better over the next year or two. But to get it, you've got to make decisions based on percentages.
Gibbs ridden into the ground, but appears to be okay. Scotland, short pass, barely the 15. Plays on Russell to Scotland once more. They've kicked the first 4 goals of the game. Carlton
Touched.
That's touched right on the line.
It was actually terrific defensive work way back there. I think it was Damon White that may have ended up, and a 50 against the Fev. Let's have a look. Fev doesn't think it was touched, and it looked a fair way over the line, but the young lady down there was right in line with it, and she's measuring it with the fat part of the post.
Well, fair enough too. If Scotland thought he'd kick the sausage.
Stewart, defensive side of the centre, goes for distance. Westhoff, with the sun in his eyes, controls it well.
He's a clever player. What he's got, he's got beautiful soft hands, Westhoff. And he went through a really ordinary period there where, you know, at the start of the year where he had to go back to the Sandford, but watched him last week. He was great. He was great the week before. Just got a really good feel for the footy.
And that's what's been disappointing after last week's outstanding effort by Port Adelaide. They have dished up tripe in this first quarter, and Carlton have been superb.
Westhoff kicked 3 straight last
better.
week, and that is straight over the umpire's hat. Port Adelaide get there first.
Well, they got one, which is better than what the Demons put up last night. And, I mean, I think if they can get the ball in there with any sort of pace, they've got some powerful players down there. Motlop's a good player. Ebert's a good player. There are. Westhoff's becoming a good player. But the ball has to flow through the middle.
Well, they have to get some work rate in their midfield at the moment. A lot of finger pointing, not a lot of effort, really.
Westhoff, after being dropped to the SANFL back in round 13, has been a goal kicker in all 5 games he's played since then. Here's Roden, charging out of the centre, wants to take them on. Works his way to 35 metres out directly in front and cannons into the post.
Well, that was as good a setup in the centre square as you could have asked for. I think Roden needed a shepherd there. Just got missed a player that was at centre-half forward, but wanted the handball over the top. Cleared a path from it. Actually, what it did was it tightened him up on his right side. I reckon that squeezed the kick a bit, but beautiful bit of play out of the centre.
Thornton takes the mark, concluding stages of the opening quarter from the Telstra Dome. They're looking for a victory to keep their slim finals hopes alive. And Mark Williams and Peter Rode, coaching hierarchy from Port Adelaide, with plenty on their plate at the moment. Carlton 4-7-31, Port Adelaide 1-4-10. It's a 21-point lead for the Blues at the moment, and some heavy weather for Port Adelaide to suffer through. They need to bounce back. We'll see if they can right after this.
I saw very impressed with Armfield in the first quarter. Thought he was terrific playing off a wing, playing on Daniel Pearce at 8 possessions, kept Pearce to 3.
Well, that's one of the players. I mean, Daniel Pearce should be vying for All-Australian the next year or two. And he's a much better player, and he should be charging through the corridor, setting up goals.
Underway in the second quarter. Carlton have never won a second quarter at the Telstra Dome so far this season in 6 attempts. That could be about to change this afternoon.
Good punch from White.
Judd latches onto the loose ball. Now looking to retreat for some support. Cloke provides it.
Oh, he's left him here. Good
60
kick.
metres out. Nice pass. Looking for Favola. Got a nudge. That went unwhistled. Pearce back to help the defence. Kane Corns for Kasisi. That player's running past. Ignored them initially. Now back through the traffic. Kane Corns combining with Mitch Farmer with a bounce. Not a lot on offer. Westhoff, the only player ahead of it.
Oh, he ran about 35 metres.
He just had a brain fade just there.
What?
And I think Fev has to press the reset button on the computer. Just forget about what happened then and forget about the first quarter. There's a bag of about 8 sitting there in front of him here today if he gets his head right.
No doubt.
Gibbs looks for Walker. Couldn't take the mark. Waite trying to track Sean Burgoyne down. Ball out of bounds.
I noticed he changed his boots at quarter time. Fev, so happy with his footwork. A little bit slippery on the surface when we were down there before the game. Gone the longer stops, I think. In fact, there you go. And he has gone the longer stops.
Gibbs taken high. And Kasisi gives away the free kick.
Let's just have a look at this one. Another one of those self-inflicted head wounds.
Agree.
Well, Gibbs has been good in front of goals this season. 11 goals, 3. But he hasn't kicked a goal for a month.
You're right there, Brooks.
Career best of 3. Back in round 14 against Richmond. From 40 metres out, likes it off the boot, uses the body language, and he gets Carlton's 5th.
Been a magnificent story, Bryce Gibbs, this season. People were questioning their selection of him so early, only 12 months ago, and I think this year he has blossomed. He's been working with their midfield coach, Bomber Riley, and also a midfield coach of sorts in Greg Williams, and he's starting to show some of the great traits of Williams, and that is the ability to play 9 good games out of 10, and your bad one is still a 7 out of 10.
Gibbs gets the goal. We'll go to Rowan Smith.
Well, boys, just an interesting matchup. Ryan Williams, a kid playing his first game, is playing on Nick Stevens at the moment, so a little bit of a learning curve for the young player to play on an absolute superstar of the AFL.
Rucks at it. Brogan with his hand to the ball.
Good hands.
Grigg comes in. Gibbs measures the pass. Well, they're away again here, Carlton. Handball over the top from Wiggins for Stevens, right on the 50. Good release. They contest in the goal square. And the ball rushed through for a minor score.
A fair piece of that then, big Cruiser.
He did, didn't he? The bloke is missing out at the present time with Cruiser sliding in around the back and the ball coming in so well. Good decision from the umpire is Fev. But it'll change.
But if he keeps his attitude right, it certainly will. I reckon he's going to have an afternoon where he's getting plenty of ball. As we see a player go down behind play there.
That was Daniel Pearce. Kane Corns works Port Adelaide forward. Ebert outnumbered 3-1 at the moment. Now the ball out of bounds.
Grigg's had 12 possessions off half back. Bryce Gibbs had 11. Waite's had 8. Arnfield having a good game. He's had 8.
So you can see Kasisi trying to go to Gibbs now. That's a good compliment. He tried to do it at the start of the game. Gibbs was pretty happy to get to Burgoyne, Sean Burgoyne. Have a look at this free kick. Oh, yeah, not a lot in that. What he does, though, just coming back to Gibbs, he just does everything right. Like, there's nothing super about his play. Like, he's not a brilliant runner. He's not super quick. He's not a pumping long kick, but he does everything so professionally. And he's got, above all, he's got poise under real pressure.
Saddington dropped the mark. Good enough to get it to Carazzo, though, who fires forward. Brogan in the way.
Now let's see how quickly they can move the footy. They've got Carlton on the hop. Got the quick turnover. They've got to find targets. Not that one, though.
Gibbs cuts in to take the mark. Now they'll swing it around. On the lead here is Grigg. Disposal number 14, the most in the game. Kane Corns has 8 to lead Port Adelaide to give you an indication of how they're dominating this Carlton. And Walker takes the mark.
Having a fantastic match. High draft pick many years ago. He struggled with some shoulder reconstructions, but found some space.
To Fisher.
You can see Brogan and Chaplin having words behind play. He's saying to Brogan's saying to Chaplin, look, actually having a real crack, Brogan is at Chaplin. And Chaplin's saying, well, hang on, I took your man, which was Cloak, who pushed down into the goal square. You're standing there guarding grass. And
Grass isn't getting it.
I'm going across to go to your man, and you just allow my man to run into the hole. Thanks very much.
Fisher Just a gettable goal in the first quarter. Comes in from 35 out. Not his best effort across the face, a minor score. His goal kicking this season has been right off Fisher. Kicked 39 last year to be second at Carlton. Just 18 this season.
Grass is the West Coast Eagles captain's Japanese cousin, haven't we?
It is. He's over in Beijing usually at the moment.
Grigg pounded again. Cloak came off second best in that contest. This is Carazzo with multiple options. Simpson off and running, short pass, and he finds Wiggins.
They're doing deals here, Port Adelaide.
Yeah.
They're doing deals. They're trying to pretend they're, well, not pretend, but they're actually guarding a zoned area. No one's taken any responsibility for their direct opponent. No wonder Carlton got loose players everywhere.
Walker for Vola, Fisher all in the goal square. Wiggins from 50 unloads, and they've taken the grab for Andrew Walker.
Mr. Walker.
Plays on quickly with a banana and cannons into the post.
We're up to 23 inside 50s Carlton, 9 Port Adelaide. This is very ordinary. Even this, the kick in. And there's numbers everywhere for Carlton.
Chaplin going for distance. His weight works onto the left foot.
Well done, Brogan.
Came through solidly. Now Roden looking to run it. That Farmer available, ignored him.
Where's his help, though?
Took them all on and bit off more than he could chew. Here go the Blues once more. Walker. Fisher for Vola. Walker sharing it around at the moment. Fisher works into some space. He's overdue with the left foot, brings it back, and Carlton have kicked their sixth.
Well, Jared, I can tell you now, the turnovers from Port Adelaide. Now, I'm not critical of Roden. I'm critical of the players that aren't running. Where was his shepherd? Where was the shepherd there? Where's the support from behind, and where's the movement up forward? It was Burgoyne, I think, that just watched him go past, and instead of putting the shepherd in, he asked for the handball when he really should have been saying, here's my support. It's an arm across. And as for the half-forward line, forget it at the moment for Port. We're being very critical, and fair enough too.
Margin out to 36 points. And the Port Adelaide coaching box flummoxed at the moment. Blues have 5 goal kickers, and Westhoff, the only goal kicker for Port Adelaide so far. Brogan won the tap, but Gibbs has it on a string at the moment. Gets it back from Jamison. Now Armfield looking for the lead of Hampson. He wants to go quickly as well. Walker was available in the pocket for Vola, wrestling with Carlisle. Here's Walker again. Dispossessed for Vola, knocked down, wanted a free kick.
Desperate for a free.
No love from the umpire. Blues still pressing though. Port Adelaide just can't contain them at the moment. Let's rush through for a minor score as we go to Rowan Smith.
Well, boys, Paul Stewart's just come from the ground complaining a little bit of groin soreness, so the doctors are just checking him out now. Hopefully it's not too serious and he can get back on soon, boys.
I'm sure some Port Adelaide fans will be complaining at the moment as well, but not because of their groin problem.
What are you seeing down there, Smithy?
Well, Jared, you're hitting the nail on the head. They're not getting it through the middle of the ground quickly, and they're just getting totally outclassed by Carlton. But what they are doing, they're not manning up in the back line. The Carlton forwards have just got too much time and space.
Sean Burgoyne was looking for Salter. Good contest with Jamison. Great defensive skills. Keeps it alive to Stevens.
Well, Favola's long on his own.
Blues off and running for Vola, the target. Has 2 to beat. Chaplin
Good mark.
juggles the mark.
It's actually a good shepherd from Adelaide Carlisle too to get Favola out of the way.
Peter Burgoyne.
10-1 inside 50s for the quarter.
Well
12
weighted
free
kick.
clearances. Sorry, John. 6-2 out of the centre.
It is a bath at the moment of historical proportions, given that it is Tom Will's round. Brogan looking for Ebert. That's out of bounds on the full. Well, we thought it couldn't get any uglier. We were wrong. 10 minutes played in the second quarter.
With all due respect to Port Adelaide, with the players they've got out in the year they've had, they're not Geelong, Carlton, are they?
No.
We're hardly playing the Cats, who you'd half expect this from. They're playing Carlton, who have won 8 games. And Carlton are making them look second-rate at the moment.
Sean Grigg.
Good running from Murphy to back up. Let's see the kick. Spot on.
Looking
Nice
for
work.
Stevens. Good job from Sean Burgoyne to knock it down and then control it as well. Maybe that'll lift the team.
Much better. All right, they're all screaming for it.
Farmer looks long. West off. It went straight to Jared Waite. He measures the pass for Gibbs, who had to stretch on the ground, farming out a hand pass. Now he'll get it back. They want to get a little ahead of themselves here, the Blues. Thornton just bobbled the pass, now under pressure. Brings it out wide. Hampson. Well, his kick not the best either. Trickles over the line in front of Mark Murphy.
Keep working, Kieran. We'll get you out in a second.
Brogan in the ruck against Sean Hampson. Took
Nice
it
work.
out of the ruck to Roden. Wheeling and dealing. Burgoyne finds the first gamer in Ryan Williams. Took a little too long, dispossessed. Hampson likewise. Here's Roden for Brogan. Former NBL championship winner. Down on all fours at the moment. Hand pass from Grigg knocked down and out of bounds.
Let's take a look at this. Ryan Williams just off the pace a little bit. Nice smother there from Stephen Brown.
Hampson in the ruck, wins the tap. Kane Corns, though, runs onto it. Waite only partially deflected it. Here's Ebert quickly onto the boot. Motlop the target. Sells the dummy. Not beyond his range here, Motlop.
Oh, did well.
Dances into the middle, hands over to Kane Corns, and he seals the deal.
Well, it was good work all round there. Ebert got the ball forward, and this is a smart move. Jamison covered the inside, which is reasonable, but should have watched the hips. And then he was always going to do the dummy. Made a little error, which cost him a shot at the goal, but he got it off to Ebert. Sorry, off to Kane Corns.
Went all the way back to the clearance. They actually won a stoppage one of the first times for the quarter, and it was just a kick forward. You can see the confusion, Kane Corns. I don't know what's going on out there.
Kane Corns kicks his 4th goal of the season.
They got 5 in the middle at the moment. And one slips out, Dominic Kasushi.
Almost 13 minutes played in the second quarter. Margin at 31. As Cloak climbs high, looking for Stevens, couldn't control it. Pearce. Hands over, DeLuca getting involved. Likewise, Nick Lower went without it, came back for seconds. DeLuca goes down solidly.
Good second effort, though, by the big fella. The only positive here for Port Adelaide, as we see, who's that, Stewart, getting a bit of work, is that Carlton haven't kicked straight. Otherwise, it'd be game over, nearly.
Pearce to Roden. Some space, takes a bounce. West off the target. Jared Waite in the way.
He won't get a bruise today, Jared Waite. No one going near him. He's just playing his own game across half-back,
Sweeping
really.
nicely.
Cade Simpson just losing that in the sun there, and the ball knocked it out of bounds.
And Smith, at the time of the interchange, all important, and that time the Blues got it wrong.
Yeah, well, Chris Judd actually ran off the ground and left Kane Corns free, and that's why he was free inside 50 and was able to get that shot at goal and kick a goal.
Carazzo. The run, the Blues are away once more. Favola kept it in front of himself. Hand passes a little behind Mark Murphy, but he reeled it in.
Got a free.
And gets a free kick now against Peter Burgoyne.
You've got the ball clear, and you still went all the tackle and threw him into the ground. Back to Mark, please.
No, I never. Let's have a look.
Spot on, umpire.
Favola unloads from 65 to the goal face and beyond, and Fev in on the act as well.
Well, I reckon Fev's in about second, maybe got the clutch in, moving it into third gear at the present time. He's got a long way further he can move into firing up mode. But even at that level, that was just a training drill for Fev. No one was near him.
Why wasn't he? He's moved him out to half forward. Why wouldn't Carlisle have gone stood alongside of him? You can see what he was doing. It's a bit of a silly move when you've been on top in the contest.
81 goals for the season for Brendan Favola. Kicked 59 last year to lead the Blues goal kicking for the 5th time. And now kicked goals in 34 of his last 35 games. As Judd tries to Fossick for the ball in the centre circle and wins a free kick. Here go Carlton again. Scotland Pettigrew comes out strongly. Now needs help. Tried to draw a free kick. That went unwhistled. Had time to remonstrate. Knocks down Andrew Walker off the ball as well. Judd goes on with it. And here is Favola.
Well, he was stiff, Pettigrew. It was fantastic defensive interception. And there's a manhandling. Should have been given a free.
Not sure you needed to remonstrate with the umpire. This is my problem, though. Favola kicks that goal from 50 because Carlisle allows him to go and stand next to Murphy so he can have a running shot. All of a sudden, he gets his tail up. He could still be right. He could still kick 7 or 8 today.
From 45 out tight angle, Favola misses to the near side. 1 goal, 3 for the Fevs so far today.
Yep, still tipping 8 for Fev, based on the delivery at the present time. At the moment,
well, they've had
6 free kicks to the Blues in this term and
none to Port.
Boom to Port.
29 entries to 12. So he's going to get plenty of opportunities, you'd think, unless Port Adelaide somehow can start getting some run through their midfield.
Peter Burgoyne with the kick out. Fisher takes the mark. Look disinterested at the moment, Port Adelaide. Cruiser the target. There's plenty to deal with there. Ball trickles over the back. Favola on the boundary line, trying to wrestle away from Peter Burgoyne. Couldn't shake him. Logan to Damon White. Now they clear the congestion. And Chaplin gets it beyond the 50 for Motlop. Ebert on a long lead. Motlop looking to create, though. Dance himself into trouble. Now he's got problems. He's holding the ball. Well, you've got to take the good with the bad with Daniel Motlop. His good is very good, but he's bad. And, well, you saw evidence of it there.
Well, I'm not sure whether this is a self-dragging, Smithy, but he's just running to the boundary line.
And don't worry, Jared, the Carlton crowd are absolutely giving it to him at the moment too. But I think he's a little bit spent, actually.
Well, he was trying to initiate again. Again, there was no support. It wasn't very smart running.
Michael Jamieson looking for his first goal in the AFL in his 2nd season. A gettable one, but he's pushed it across the face. Margin out to 39. We started this quarter with Carlton leading by 21. Damon White playing just his 3rd game of the season. Hit and hope. Brogan wrestles his way to the front. Couldn't get near the contest, though. Pearce trying to track it down, but happy to escort it over the line.
Throwing Brogan forward. So Westhoff and Brogan are their taller targets inside 50. See Motlop back on the ground.
DeLuca nudged in the back by Cameron Cloak. Tap was an intelligent one for Mark Murphy. Works to the 50, unloads, kept it low, but inaccurately a minor score.
What do you think of the move of playing Walker up in that forward line? Seems to be he seems to be dangerous up there.
He does. He's got good pace, and he's one of those players that can mark it overhead as well. I'm just concerned about Port Adelaide's work at the stoppage. I mean, they just allowed that ball to get at the back. I mean, you need to have someone sweeping.
Yep.
Turned it over again. Carazzo with the help of Fisher. His hand pass. A dangerous one.
Here he is again,
hits
Jared.
the target. At the back, Walker. Upstairs, couldn't complete it. Peter Burgoyne, inventive hand pass.
I just like the way that they've gone from a one-dimensional forward line to all of a sudden having Cruiser and Walker and Favola, giving them a 3-pronged attack.
And throwing Eddie Betts when he's available. Roden in traffic again. Hand pass to Westhoff wasn't a good one, but he did well to keep it alive. Back to Roden, has Judd to contend with, and Jared Waite and Motlop are going at it off the ball.
Are they ever?
And they are getting very busy. Motlop back onto the ground. Now the ball was heading in their direction, so they've separated. There was an umpire in the close vicinity. This is Gregdo. As Carlton look to extend their lead, he unloads from 50 across the face of goal, a minor score.
Another wasted opportunity. 7 goals, 15 Carlton. Disappointing that they've only kicked 7 goals out of 33 entries. This quarter is unbelievable. 15-1 inside 50s.
A little over 5 minutes out from half-time. Carazzo, one of the smallest men on the ground, outmarks Brogan.
And he gets a hands in the back free kick. Lucky he did. Because, man, he should needed to push back a bit harder than Big Dean Brogan.
Pearce unloads. Motlop at the back, lurking with intent. Can't latch onto it. It's a minor score.
Well, John, you're a Port man. We're going to send you down at half-time. Going to get you to fire them up because this is a nonsense.
I'd get a game with them the way they're playing at the moment.
Don't go too far.
Nick Stevens takes on Pettigrew, comes off second best. Well, no, a high tackle.
Got a high tackle.
Pettigrew getting absolutely nothing from the umpires today.
Having a bad run with the tackles and the free kicks, old Port.
Carlton pressing again.
9-1 for the quarter. The free kick count. Favour the Blues.
Sean Burgoyne for Kane Corns in traffic. Judd got a piece of it, knocked it down. Back to Sean Burgoyne. Got it from Chaplin. But they are crucifying their forwards when in fact they can get it in that direction. Carlton with numbers again.
Take your pick. You should
Grigg.
use Jamison.
I suppose number 18 for him, the most in the game. Jamison.
Stevens is out the back
60
here.
metres out. Stevens lurking for Vola wrestling. They contest at the top of the goal square. Port Adelaide happy to see it through.
Well, Stevens shouldn't have jumped because I don't think he can jump. And that ball just trickled out the back, and that's where he would have been onto it.
Talk about the free kick count, the inside 50 count. What about the clanger count? 17 to Port Adelaide for the quarter. 3.
Yeah,
Carlton.
World record pace.
That's 32 and less than a half of footy. Turnovers. All right, let's try and find something positive here about Port Adelaide. Can you find something? What about you, Smithy, down on the boundary line?
Well, Kane Corns has done a pretty good job on Chris Judd so far, so probably that's the only positive I can pick out.
Well, only 3 minutes till half-time. Might be another. Brogan.
Here's a go.
Sweeps a hand pass looking for Kasisi.
Another one of yours, Pickers, just trying to curl it around the corner.
Why? Why would you even try and do that? You're 45, you're running on the 45, you're kicking from 40 metres.
Tell you where there is some positives. Carlton have backed up. They should have won last week. They had some opportunities. It's a game that would have really given them some comfort going in, but they're on the charts. They've got a really hard run home, but you can only beat what's out there, and at the moment they are giving Port Adelaide a nice old toweling.
Karatza gives it up for Nick Stevens. He has multiple options as well. Cade Simpson off and running with a bounce, looking for Wiggins. Marks on the paint of the 50. Stevens wants it back, heads in that direction now and takes the mark.
Well, another positive would be Carlisle's job on Favola. With all these entries, 36 entries, and they're on the way for a world record as well. 37th entry this will be, inside the forward 50 and less than a half a footy. And Favola's just the one goal so far.
Got to change around, Choco, at half-time. I reckon throw Chaplin up forward, do a few things a bit different as Stevens bangs another one home.
They kicked 4 goals to 1 in the first quarter. They've kicked 4 goals to 1 here in the second as well.
And whilst the scoreboard says 8 goals to 2, the reality is it's about 15 goals to 2. I mean, it's only been inaccurate kicking that has upset the true reflection of this match. It has been an absolute pizzling by Carlton.
24 scoring shots to 7. Enough said, really. And Nick Stevens has been a pretty good contributor in the first half with 11 touches and a goal now.
Sean, in a second. Just wait for the light.
Carlton's biggest ever win over Port Adelaide, 91 points. It's in some danger at the moment, Rowan Smith.
Yeah, well, it is actually too, John. But Daniel Motlop came to the ground and with a dislocated finger. They've put it back in, and he's just come back onto the ground. So good news for Port there, boys.
Fabian DeLuca in traffic. Did that well with the support of the first game of Williams. Motlop tackled by Jared Wade. It was a great tackle.
Having a good game, Wade.
Lower with his hands full. Back to Motlop.
There's a player going down hard with a hard hip and shoulder. Motlop it is. Giving a peek on who did it. Okay, let's see if he reacts here now. I hope he doesn't. Keeps his mind on the job here, Motlop. He's very important to him.
Lower putting his body on the line again, which is his trademark. Now we'll need the umpire. 25 minutes played in the second quarter. Margin is 47 points. DeLuca with the height advantage wins the tap. Kasisi underneath all that. And we'll need another bounce. Nick Salter, the second gamer, is putting himself about a little bit for Port Adelaide. And they're still going with the jumper punches as well.
Motlop involved.
Motlop and Scotland off the ball.
Neither of those boys will take a backward step.
Thanks, guys. Here. Let's get it up, Pete. Jake, get it up, Jake.
Boys, I mentioned it before that Motlop does get frustrated. He was getting frustrated in the first quarter, and he's just emphasising that again just in this second quarter.
Well, I really like Motlop as a player. I mean, everyone that watches footy should like the way he plays his footy, but he's got to stop getting antagonised. You know, when they antagonise him, he's just got to stop falling into it. It's too easy to get him off his game.
Gibbs for Judd, just weaving his way through traffic.
That's class act.
Scotland onto the left boot. Favola the target. Went up high, came crashing down. Fisher almost into the back of his opponent, goes unwhistled. Cassisi dropped it after Farmer had given him the handball. This is Dennis Armfield for Stevens. Outside the 50, hands over to Judd when he was covered by Kane Corns. They'll have to reset here. Favola lurking at the back. Not the sit, couldn't complete the mark. And Port Adelaide with their hands full again. Peter Burgoyne with a tackle on Gibbs. Umpire said he ducked his head. There was no whistle. 17 seconds, or 16 on the clock now.
It's a good decision by the umpire. He did duck his head, Bryce Gibbs. Speaking of which, he's had a super first half.
My word, he has. Been brilliant.
Stevens harassed by Cassisi, wrestles him to the ground, and now over the boundary line.
He's had 18 touches, Bryce Gibbs. Sean Burgoyne's had 12. I know he's played a little bit on Cassisi as well, but no real influence from any of the real major ball winners from Port Adelaide at the moment. Been all Carlton.
Cruiser with the tap, dying seconds of the first half. Peter Burgoyne dangerously centering the ball. Scotland can't take the mark. The siren in the background. And an ugly first half concludes here at the Telstra Dome. Port Adelaide have been restricted to their lowest scoring second quarter all year. And Carlton have won their first second quarter at the Telstra Dome this season and enjoy a 47-point lead at the major break. Carlton 8-16-64. Port Adelaide 2-5-17. It's a massacre as Carlton look to keep their finals hopes alive.
Oh, look, it's hard to say at the moment because obviously they've been ordinary this year, but I think his ability to develop young players, he liked this challenge of throwing some of these young blokes in.
Pretty controversial start from you there, John,
Yeah,
trying to get the
John.
coach a sack, but I would have thought if Mark Williams is on the market, he would be one of the most sought-after coaches in the game.
Yeah, agree. And as I say, I think the challenge of getting another young group together, I just think last year they went so quickly up the ladder, and maybe it was the Paul Keating year, the year they had to have, but it's been dismal, I know that.
Well, here's Sean Burgoyne to Logan, trying to get something happening quickly for Port Adelaide here in the second half. Drag down, taking the kick. The accuracy was affected and through for a minor score as we go to Rowan Smith.
Boys, every single Port Adelaide player just about the start of that third quarter had their arm across their opponent, so expect to see a more one-on-one contest in this second half.
Just on that, Smithy, good to see Arnfield. He has got enormous pace.
Yeah, that's right, and you've got to take them on, and that's what they've got to do, is take a little bit of a risk.
Cruiser, growing in stature, takes the mark. Murphy, handball for Thornton. Poor disposal, though, went straight to Sean Burgoyne. He looks for the run of Peter Burgoyne. The brothers combine. Surgeon, patiently. Logan, certainly not Port's worst today, and that's a nice pass to find Motlop.
Pretty good start here, Smithy.
Yeah, well, you can see that they're just really going, playing on it every occasion. Peter Burgoyne running from defence, using the ball properly and getting into the forward line quickly.
Motlop had only 7 disposals and 1 goal the last time he played against Carlton in round 11, which is his season low. At the moment, 4 disposals to his credit. Yet to affect the scoreboard, but should do so here. Likes it off the boot, and Port Adelaide draw first blood.
They only went inside 57 times in the second quarter. We've gone a minute and a half. They've been inside twice already and got a goal. So a very positive start to Port Adelaide. It was a good kick by Logan because he got a poor handball. The surgeon one was way too hard and it was behind him, which stopped his flow. But it was a good hit up. Didn't try to drill the pass. And Motlop, this is the sort of bloke that can get Port Adelaide back into the game, but they need to get
Not unless they get the ball in there.
They need to get 3 or 4 quick entries and a couple of quick goals. And you never know, a bit of belief. They're a young side still, Carlton.
Carlton get the first goal inside 2 minutes of the third quarter. Took them 26 minutes to kick their first goal in the first term and 12 minutes in the second as Judd, a little too heavy with the handball. Simpson cleans it up with Gibbs. Thornton out wide, finds Dennis Armfield.
Liked his game, Jared. You mentioned his chase before. He had a very good first half. Good mark.
Nice work from the Chief.
Wiggins, strong mark. Carazzo running by. Corralled by Pearce.
Too cute, that kick.
Here's Judd trying to fend off Kane Corns. Free kick going against Peter Burgoyne to Cade Simpson. Play on is the call. Cruiser has Walker lurking in the pocket. Has never kicked 3 goals in a game. He has now.
Well, we saw why he's #1 draft pick last season. I think it was always a big debate between him and Cochin, but he's just showing a lot of good signs. Mark Murphy set him up. He's just continuing to improve. Could probably do some work on his actual skill with that handball. Doesn't hit it quite with the bottom of the fist. Got a bit of a loose wrist. But the way he held it, his brain was there. He's a time and space man, and there's not many of those who play in his position. Good stuff. Good work by Walker as well, who's running.
Carlton get the quick reply. Walker with his third after kicking the first of the game.
Look at that, though. That just shows you Port Adelaide, arm across, one-on-one. That's the only way they can get back into this match is one-on-one footy.
Brogan dragged off the ball, holding it. Free kick Carlton. Armfield. Disposal number 15 for him. Out wide. Walker has it on a string at the moment. Cruiser deep in the forward line for Vola there as well. Cameron Cloak to the top of the square. Simpson tried to go out of mid-air. Port Adelaide rush it through.
Jeez, out of this match, Walker has been one of the key finds for the Blues. His role has been taken somewhat by Bryce Gibbs through the middle of the ground, but he shows a hell of a lot of potential up in that forward line.
Kane Corns was looking for Surgeon against Grigg. Jared Waite happy to escort it over.
I know, Smithy, you were pretty keen on him pre-game, but you wanted to keep your powder dry.
Yeah, well, look, I wanted to pump him up before the game, boys, but you wanted me to talk about all of Carlton's misses. But you can see that he come back from a couple of shoulder reconstructions, so it's a terrific effort.
Oh, what a team player Smithy is.
Pearce around the body, looking for Brogan. Cruiser wanted it a little bit more, but can't control the mark.
Gee, he's been good, Cruiser, hasn't he, Jared?
Yep.
Unflappable young player, really. Talked about that handball, but he's been able to push forward after the centre bounces as well, become a dangerous forward option.
He's got a good summer. I reckon he's going to maybe be given Mad Monday off, and then he'll be sent to the weight room.
Yep. He's got arms like pencils at the minute, but they'll muscle up.
That free kick count continues to be lopsided against Port Adelaide. Stevens the target here, arriving quickly. Mitch Farmer to defuse the situation.
Nice work from Farmer. Kept in touch with Nick Stevens.
Brogan couldn't control it. Spills to Cruiser. Slams it onto the boot. Walker lurking again. Can't control the mark. Simpson wheeling and dealing. Dragged down in the tackle. Port Adelaide will look to clear the danger zone. Chaplin for Motlop, the full forward. A long way from home, and his pass for Surgeon goes straight to Jamison.
Yeah, there's a problem here because there's loose players inside 50 for Carlton.
Chaplin to the rescue, couldn't quite get there, and he is just positioning himself magnificently, Walker.
Favola leads to the pocket. Walker's pass was low percentage, as Liam Pickering called. Favola comes again. Strong work. Logan. Here's Peter Burgoyne. Slow to react. It's rushed through for another minor score.
How do you reckon Fev would be thinking at the moment? Buddy Franklin's playing in what looks like snow down in Tasmania, 3 goals to 1 at half time. And Fev's at the Telstra Dome on a beautiful day, and they've got 41 inside 50s. He's kicked 1. Reckon they'll be on his mind?
Well, I don't think he would have considered it a chance at the start if they were toweling them up. But it's a really good sign for Carlton. It's the sign that makes them potentially a top side.
Yep.
Rather than just deciding to sneak into the 8. They can't be Favola conscious because the good sides, like Geelong, will just flood back. They'll smother Fev. And the more the Cruiser, Walker, Cloak, those sort of other forward options develop, the more he's going to get kick serious goals in serious matches.
Judd getting some treatment again on the bottom of that pack. Scotland going nowhere.
You're right. when you look at the good sides, and we always talk about Brown and Bradshaw at Brisbane, and we talk about Franklin and Roughead, it's multiple options. It's not just those blokes. I mean, Hawthorn rely on Franklin and Roughead, but they also rely on Williams to play his role and to get some goals out of Rioli, and Carlton need to develop that as well outside of Favola.
Cruiser got it from Judd. Hands over Jared Waite. Looping hand pass for Carazzo. Doing this well, Carlton. Murphy looking for Favola. Pettigrew. Good grab at the back. Hand pass for Peter Burgoyne set him a task, though. He's equal to it. Got a little too cute with the pass, though. It was knocked down by Murphy. Had Walker over the top. The slow hand pass didn't do him any favours, but he wrestles away from Pettigrew, exposed for speed there momentarily. Russell couldn't take them up. Motlop taken down, holding it a long time, and the umpire has given him the benefit of the doubt.
He's having a look at Peter Burgoyne. He doesn't look fit at the moment. I know he's been missing, but it doesn't look like he's been doing a lot of work in the pool if he hasn't been able to run.
It's the last 5 games. Spent some time in the SANFL.
Fair different intensity there. Put dangerous players on him today. That's the other option. Carlton have done it well. Put some dangerous runners inside forward 50. They haven't allowed him to set up like he likes to across half back.
Kane Corns got it from Surgeon. Scotland tracks down the ball. Gets there before Ryan Williams. Looks into the middle. Dangerous kick. Westhoff was lurking, but Carazzo equal to it. Has Saddington peeling off and with numbers out wider. Grigg coming up for his 20th disposal. Took a long time to make a decision. That put Waite under pressure. He's done likewise for Nick Stevens. So a little more starch in Port Adelaide's back half at the moment. But still Carlton press.
Just overused the footy there a bit much. Waite could have gone straight into the forward line. They got the options there. Didn't need to muck around with it around that half forward area with extra possessions.
Mitch Farmer on the bottom of that. 9.5 minutes played in the third quarter. Nick Salter to the bench, replaced by Paul Stewart for Port Adelaide. Brogan wrestling with Cloak. Another stalemate. And the Blues leading by 48 points. Port Adelaide's best ever comeback from half-time. Well, 23 points in their 12 seasons. So it doesn't instill a lot of confidence. Grigg did that well. Couldn't find Simpson, but Walker's there to clean up for him. Now Scotland takes it from Carazzo. 60 metres out, measures the pass. It was a neat one. Cloak takes the mark.
Well, coming into this game, Port Adelaide have been able to handle Carlton at the clearances. 26-9 Carlton lead the clearance count today, and 6 of the last 7 games, Port Adelaide, that has been an area they've been dominant. So they've made a conscious effort today at the clearances to really set up properly. I think they've got the right matchups. I think they've got the right spread at the contest. And when they win it through the at the clearances, you have a chance to win a match if you can get it inside.
But clearances are about intent and intensity as much as they are about structure. And I think that's what Port acknowledged was missing early.
Cloak pushes it across the face, a minor score. Margin out to 49. Biggest we've seen at any stage.
Nice kick.
Pettigrew on the end of it from Sean Burgoyne. Little undecided. Got very close to Jared Waite, who forced the error. Although Thornton couldn't find it. Ebert hasn't seen a lot of the ball. Finds Surgeon. He wants to go quickly.
It's not 15.
And the mark has been taken by Damon White. Cut them some slack, Jared. They need some help.
No, it's more going into the finals. He's about 6 metres inside the forward 50. But Damon White is a player, I think, that can play either end, and I think that was what was missing. And either had to be Chaplin or Damon White go into the forward line to give them another target.
You also saw Ebert's kick there, the square-up kick. I'd like to see him up the ground a little bit more, even if he's out around half forward. Even give him a go on the wing. He's such a beautiful kick. He's just not getting the delivery down there deep in the forward line.
He's kicked 44 goals in his 51 games, Damon White. But hasn't had a major since round 12 last season against Essendon. But the drought is about to break.
Can play Damon White. He's been unfortunately injured for a fair bit of this season. started to re-emerge over the last couple of weeks. Let's just have a look at the length of this kick. Nice one there from about 3 metres outside.
Yep, to about 6 metres or 7 metres inside. Yep, you're probably right, Jared. Good finish by White.
Was.
Important finish, 2-1 for the quarter. They're winning the quarter at the moment. Port Adelaide.
Well, Damon White played only 13 games last season because of a persistent knee problem. Only his 3rd appearance in 2008. It's still Carlton with a 43-point lead. Fabian De Luca comes back for seconds in the ruck duel. Sean Burgoyne wrestled off it, had a long time. He's holding the ball. Carlton all clear through Nick Stevens. Cloak on the lead. Good. And too big, too strong for Chaplin. Walker wanted it quickly over the top. Cameron Cloak will go back and take a shot at goal.
Big grab from Cameron Cloak. He's a player that's been utilised in the ruck, as we know. But this is the area, I think, if he can just show that he's capable of going forward and getting 35 goals for the year, then I think he can maintain his spot as a backup ruckman, as a mobile ruckman, and as somebody who can work with Cruiser going forward and into the guts.
He was a goal kicker last week against the Adelaide Crows. He's a goal kicker this week against Port Adelaide.
He's running to the bench like a man possessed.
Why is that, Pickers? It's obviously if you kick a goal, you get off just to try and upset them, or is this just a straight change because Cruiser's the man on?
I reckon whilst he was going back, if you kick this Cloakey straight off, or if he doesn't, even if he misses it, was probably the runner's probably giving him that message that it's time to come off. We've gone, what, how many minutes? 14 minutes, probably about right, halfway through the quarter, 15 minutes in. Good finish, but he knew exactly what he was doing. And you're right, if he becomes a forward option for him, another tall man on the side.
Cameron Cloak, the 8th goal kicker today for the Blues. 49 points is the margin. It was 47 when we started this quarter. Hampson into the ruck, the late replacement for Eddie Betts against Fabian De Luca. Cassisi couldn't control it. Coming in solidly there, Stephen Brown.
Well, so far today, I reckon Fabian De Luca has shown that he can get his hand on the ball at these centre clearances. Now, whether or not he can get it around the ground to really make himself a top liner is the challenge in front of him. At the moment, he's had 3 possessions.
Jared Waite clears the congestion to Walker. He's having a day out.
It's his new opponent too, Daniel Motlop, who's pushed back. What they've done is they've pushed Damon White forward, which has meant that Waite's got a man in Damon White who kicked the last goal for Port.
Favola in the pack, couldn't get a run at it. This is Jordan Russell handing over for Judd. Good pressure from Port Adelaide. Kane Corn scurries a kick out of there. Fans thought it was deliberate.
Couldn't be, surely. That's a blinking crowd if they want that for deliberate. I think you're entitled to try and get it up the line. There's players in front of him.
De Luca just pushing Hampson out of the equation. He's given away the free kick.
You think, Jared?
Thought it was deliberate.
You can tell with that look he just gave me.
I was with the Blues fans there.
Favola on the lead. Pass was a poor one, though. Still in a dangerous territory. Favola's found it now, tucked in on the boundary line, brings it back. A minor score. 2 goals, 4 in this term, after 4-7 in the first and 4-9 in the second for Carlton. The margin could be bigger than the 50 points it is at the moment. Daniel Motlop playing in the back line here since half-time. Up to the wing, Cade Simpson, the high flyer, couldn't complete it. Nick Salter lost control. Carazzo always seems to find some space. Slow hand pass. Thornton
That was
off
clever.
a step.
That was very clever.
Russell.
That wasn't.
Fisher.
Oh,
Just
look at this pace.
weaves around one would-be tackle at 30 metres and closing. Can't seal the deal.
Got gears though, hasn't he?
That was actually like the Olympics when our world champion started running her 400 metres and the roar started going up, and that's what happened there. But unlike Kathy Freeman, Juddy couldn't complete.
There are a few players in the competition that genuinely excite the crowd. Buddy Franklin's one, Chris Judd's one, Gary Ablett even last night every time he went near the ball. There's not too many of them in the competition, but he is a brilliant player to watch when he's in full flight.
Judd comes off. Kane Corns gets a rest as well. Scotland and Peter Burgoyne, their replacements.
I think it was KG who'd be watching this over in South Australia. He called it rolling thunder as Kathy Freeman ran around, and it was exactly the same then.
The Blues on the charge again, and here's Cruiser.
Now, I said last week in the call, trying to think who the player was, he'll struggle with the trip. It was a very similar distance.
Kieran Jack.
Kieran Jack, and he kicked it about 20 rows back. Now, I'm going to go on record again. I think 50's about his kicking limit at the minute. Let's see if I make a deal of myself again.
11 goals won on the season. Sails through half post height. Carlton extend their lead.
No comment, Jared. Away you go.
Sacrificial lamb, Liam Pickering. He doesn't miss, and he can kick it exactly 53 metres by the looks. And hasn't he just stepped up to say that he's a potential 80-goal kicker in a season?
He's comfortable. He looks comfortable forward, doesn't he?
Yep.
Released to the right spaces, times his leads well.
I think it's been the making of Carlton this year when they were Favola conscious and only Favola in the forward line. They weren't going too far, but right now they're on the march this year or next.
Hampson off from the blood rule, taking one on the chin for the team.
Oh, it just rammed in, I think, Sean Burgoyne's knee. He might have just got a little bit of a clip on the way through.
I reckon he slammed his head onto his own wrist.
Okay.
And gave himself a blood nose because he went off with the blood rule.
DeLuca up high. Gets it down to Peter Burgoyne. Quick kick out of the centre. Pass, bounce eluded Damon White. Jared Waite had a busy day. 19 disposals for him. Taking the mark. Wiggins.
That was a terrific mark.
Well, they've done it all today, the Blues. 57-point lead. Saddington finds Scotland. They've got open men deep in the forward line. Scotland looks in that direction now. Fisher couldn't complete it. Farmer doing a good job for Port Adelaide. Needs help. Now Jordan Russell trying to scoop it up. Good contest coming through solidly. Pettigrew, and now out of bounds. Here's Simon Wiggins. Came down hard. Eyes for the ball. Gutsy mark. DeLuca. Now Murphy. Heard the voice. Gibbs. Retreating hand pass for Carazzo. Down time. And again, it's Murphy. Across the ground. Needed a good bounce there and got one. Jared Waite. Well-timed hand pass as well, retreating away from his opponent. And they work their way through that well. Scotland. There's not one Port Adelaide player in their attacking half at the moment. That's why Carlton are looping the ball around. Now they go to the hot spot. Fisher couldn't complete it. Chance for Stewart. Hand pass to Peter Burgoyne. And eventually he reels it in. Wants help, provided by Mitch Farmer. Kane Corns just onto the ground as his outlet. And he hits him on the chest. Damon White on a long lead. Sean Burgoyne beyond that. Scotland took front position. And now Ryan Williams. Tackled by Carazzo, holding the ball.
Attempted the don't argue. Didn't work. Is that a good game, Carazzo?
21 minutes played in the third quarter. Blues have numbers. DeLuca all over Armfield there. He couldn't get a whistle.
Well, Cameron Clark needed to do a little bit better there for Armfield. Just needed to stop the run of DeLuca. Gee, the free kick count there. John Casey, they'll get his blood boiling. 8-0 to Port. We'll just check the total here for the game. They haven't had a lot of
22-4. They're just first to the ball. Carlton. Armfield against Pearce. Just fell off the tackle, but did enough to worry him out of the kick. Pearce onto the boot quickly. Pettigrew comes at it strongly. Sean Burgoyne has White over the top.
Needs to keep running here. That's clever.
Ebert peeling off as well. White takes the mark. Goal side of Jared Waite and can go back and try and kick his second of the term.
They were the only options he had, really, was to keep running and hope that Waite kept going with his opponent or just drop it into the path of the runner, which was the big man, Damon White.
He's generally a pretty good shot at goal, Damon White. Smithy, you reckon you could envisage him being a replacement for Warren Treadrow down the track?
Well, they're virtually nearly the same body shape, Jared. So if he just gets his body right and works a little bit harder maybe in the forward line, he could certainly be a good forward.
White comes in. Port Adelaide having kicked 2 goals in a quarter so far today, but that's good enough.
Well, they need to find somebody as another option up there. Choco Williams looking a little bit perplexed up there with the effort today from Port Adelaide, but it's clever play really by Sean Burgoyne. He's another beautiful mover when he gets the footy. There's nothing in front of him there except White, who's pushed back off Waite, and that's been 1 win for the quarter, I would have thought.
Yep.
White forward, making the big fella there, Waite, accountable, and he's kicked 2 goals. So that's a win for Choco up there.
Three goals apiece since the major break. Carlton's 47-point half-time lead has been extended to 51. A little over 4.5 minutes left on the clock here in the third term. Stevens, good skills for Scotland.
Cloak's just run forward magnificently here and well spotted from East Scotland, having a good year.
Carazzo running past, looks inboard for Walker with problems against Cassisi holding the ball.
And Carazzo rightly admonished himself. He didn't need to handball. He was probably trying to do the team thing too much. Just should have gone straight to goal.
Sean Burgoyne.
Surgeon's pushed forward. If he sees him, there'll be another kick away.
Went to Stewart, back to Sean Burgoyne.
Just confusion.
18th disposal, the most by a Port Adelaide player. Stewart, not a lot of room to operate in. Sean Burgoyne now clears the congestion for Lower with problems as Russell came at him. Back to Stewart. Now Fabian DeLuca. Brogan has gone forward. He's the target, but he's out position. Jared Waite will take the mark and charge away. Cloak available in the middle of the ground.
It's a Red Sea. Just parted.
Fisher out wide. Carlisle comes at him.
Done,
left
Carlisle.
his man for Vola and
done,
charges up
Carlisle.
the ground.
Had a great afternoon, really. One of the few Port Adelaide players.
Has to get the Rising Star nomination this week.
Well, surprised he hasn't had it already. And a chance now for Port Adelaide. Brogan latches onto the loose ball, 15 metres out and closing. And pushed it across the face.
The big fella tried to just drill it. That's really the sort of kick that the little blokes like. Big blokes just kick the drop punt, I would have thought.
Well, 6 goals, 2 so far this season. Generally an accurate shot, Dean Brogan. That was a long way from his best. Damon White did well there. Here's Pearce in a confined space for Westhoff. Goes to work. Kicked Port Adelaide's first goal of the game. But can't add to that tally. It's Port Adelaide peppering the goals. Again, Cloak has found some space here, just getting off DeLuca. Hand pass missed the target. Wiggins has to go back and find it. Cloak gets around Sean Burgoyne. Peter Burgoyne with his hands full now. Good with the spoil. Surgeon came hard. So too Scotland with support from Mark Murphy. Now Jordan Russell off and running. Can work inside the 50. The pass is on for Fisher. Hits him on the chest.
Well, I'm surprised when he didn't just keep running and bouncing at the goals there. He could have ran to probably 30 metres out and kicked the goal himself, Jordan Russell. When we get another look at it, he had all the space in front of him. But, I mean, it's good that they're sharing inside their forward 50, getting other players involved.
Goal kicker in the second quarter. Brad Fisher leans back. Never had that online. Margin back to 50 points. Kane Corns plays on away from Walker. Looks inside. Peter Burgoyne heard the voice from Lower. Takes a bounce. Pushed in the back by Hampson.
Yeah, that's a very good call, umpire.
He's got a basketball background, but surely he's been around long enough to know that's against the rules.
It's against the rules in basketball as well, Jared.
That's right.
Jordan Russell with Stevens. 80 seconds on the clock till three-quarter time, and the Blues are fishing for another goal. For Vola, goal side of Carlisle, controlled it well, thought about playing on, eventually does, and kicks the goal.
He's just cruising around the forward line of the present time. He's pretty pleased with that one, and so he should be. Nice kick in from Sean Grigg. Gets it set up to Fisher. Now, this is good body work from the Fev. He's got out of Paddy where he wants him. And he just kept him away. Not sure he should have played on, but he's just rolling with the punches.
Well, he has missed a couple of set shots today, so probably he thought he's also very good around the corner.
Thanks, Bryce.
Two goals for Brendan Favola today. 82 goals for the season.
What about this way to tackle? Sean Hampson.
Sure there was any grey area in that tackle.
Hands in the back, all right. He's pushed him fair over.
DeLuca up high, but Hanson won the tap. Pearce to Roden. Measures the pass for Tom Logan. Cassisi kept running. 50 seconds and counting in this quarter. Oh, gutsy stuff. Simon Wiggins not knowing what was coming the other way. Continues to grow in stature as a player.
50 against Daniel Motlop. I don't know what he's thinking out there. He's gone to ground 4 times this quarter, Daniel. He's a talented player, but
He didn't have to come in. I told him not to.
enough said. I
Doesn't
didn't
matter.
touch him.
Save it.
He
Just
hadn't,
here, mate.
he hadn't called play on.
Right out.
Same, you came into the protected area,
Yeah,
which
but
is
it's
5
gone
metres
right in
either
the
side.
protected
on blocks.
Just seems frustrated, Daniel Motlop, at the moment. Been a tough year. He's been pretty good this year, though. He's been one of their better players.
Thanks, Daniel.
He's been outstanding. He was really electrifying the competition in the first half of the season. Just trailed off.
Well, Jared, All-Australian selection. Surely he's in the squad then. You're a selector.
He's been mentioned a lot.
Is he?
Sure, mate.
Westhoff
Look at this.
kicking to no one in particular. Jared Waite gets there first. Gibbs with the clock running down to 3/4 time. Not enough for Carlton to mount another charge. But with 1 quarter to play, they are looking like winners. They started this quarter leading by 47 points, but with 1 quarter to play, the margin is out to 56 points. It's Carlton 12-22-94, Port Adelaide 5-8-38. The Blues on the march here at the Telstra Dome.
Followed with just a couple of goals so far this afternoon. We'll see in the other game. Buddy Franklin's kicked 3.
3 out of 7.
3 out of 7. So Hawks by 31 points over the lines at 3/4 time down in Tassie.
It's going to be a real challenge for Fev to get his 100, but there's the 3/4 time Aurora Stadium score. Hawthorn, you would think, having a commanding lead. Brisbane just unable to penetrate the cluster.
Judd has 16 disposals, Kane Corns 19. As we get underway, final quarter action from the Telstra Dome with Carlton leading by 56 points. Here's Farmer. First decisive touch. Pettigrew did well, finds Daniel Pearce, who's looking for Motlop.
Kick.
Got away from Scotland. Brogan was available, but he looks beyond that. Going to the goal front, Damon White. Good skills there from Saddington to get a fist on it. Now escorted over the line by Thornton.
Like the job Thornton's done this afternoon on Ebert. Been very good.
Dangerous matchup.
Just 5
Given the
touches.
size.
Yeah, 5 touches for Ebert.
Chris, Kane.
A good job. Hampson won the tap, went straight to Pettigrew.
Right.
Now, boys, have got to just keep their eyes open.
Look at this.
Judd charges away.
Here's Favola.
Looking for Favola. Walker running into space. Fisher goal side of his opponent as well. Good job from Stewart to defuse the situation momentarily. But Fisher comes again. Still in the danger zone. Umpire Kieran Nichols has seen enough.
And Nick Stevens rightly just remonstrating with his tagger, who is just putting him in the bear hug at any of the stoppages. Nick Lower.
Brogan taking on Walker. Cruiser somehow got it out of there. Convinced the umpire it was legal. That's all that matters. Carlisle back into traffic. Cassisi manhandled by Favola after the event. And Carlisle giving him some advice about it.
Well, this is the paddock if you've ever seen one.
There's
Motlop
White.
unloads from 65 out, and Damon White goes back to take the mark.
Nice kick from Motlop and well run and red. by the man with the ball in his hands.
Jared, stay another metre, mate. That's too close.
And he's been pretty impressive, Damon White. We all know he can play. He's shown plenty of games where he's been a star. He just needs to get a good run of injuries.
Career high is 4 goals for Damon White. Kick 2 at the other end in the third quarter. And from 15 metres out, nurses this one through as well.
Well, it was one area we talked about at half-time, Jared, is rejigging their forward setup to try and make it a bit more accountable. The Carlton defence, where they were playing pretty much a loose man. And you can see when the fight's on, there's a bit of space there for Daniel Motlop to work in. And White's gone forward. That was a great kick by Motlop. He kicked it basically over the head of Saddington and into the path of White, who, that's the second goal he's got on the back of doing that, pushing goal side of his opponent. As we see Mark Murphy back on the ground for Carlton.
They kick the first goal of the third quarter. Port Adelaide, they open the scoring here in the final quarter as well, as Hampson takes on Brogan, who was looking for Cassisi. Strong tackle from Nick Stevens. He played 3 minutes here in the final quarter.
Thanks, Kane. Chris. Thanks, Dennis.
At the back here. Face the footy, knock it out. Play on.
Westhoff, third man up. Couldn't find it. Kane Corns with a loose ball.
It's abuse. There's no need for it. The mark's here. Carlton's kick.
Let's get down to Rowan Smith on the boundary line. Mark Murphy, you've noticed something about Mark Murphy.
Yeah, boys, I think he's just had his right shoulder strapped. So when he disappeared there at three-quarter time, he already had his left one done, but now he's got his right one as well. So just keep an eye on him.
Stay there, Brooks.
Sean Hampson goes to Walker. Just outside the 50. His best effort. Missed the lot.
You see Walker there with his both shoulders strapped. Of course, coming back after 3.5 months from a shoulder reconstruction.
Carlisle dangerously. Waite takes the mark.
He's on his own, it's easy.
Simpson couldn't control it. Gibbs
Well done, Gibbs.
barrels his way through a couple of would-be tacklers. Hampson puts Simpson under all sorts of pressure. Now Peter Burgoyne can relieve the pressure. Ebert, good mark.
An open forward line, one out Damon White and his opponent, and they've got Logan pushing down this side of the ground if he can see him.
Westhoff looks for Motlop, little deep with the kick. Saddington has the run of it, and across the line out of bounds.
Interesting defensive tactics by Carazzo on the way down. He ran about 60 metres. There was a couple of jabs, there was a couple of grabs, and Daniel Motlop didn't get anything off the umpire. But Carazzo got the job done.
Brogan takes front position, then overran the ball. Hampson did likewise. Cassisi never far from the bottom of the pack. Crowd of 29,696 on hand. And for those Port Adelaide fans who made the trip across from South Australia, not a lot to cheer about. Brogan and Hampson wrestling. And 50 against Nick Stevens, getting right into the face of umpire Shane McInerney.
He's just frustrated with the tactics of lower. You can see that.
Brogan, who missed an easy goal earlier in the game, will make no mistake here. And Port Adelaide have kicked back-to-back goals for the first time today.
Just keep going with the footy, both of us, eh?
Have a look at this here. Bit of a hold. I can never get those ones, Jared. I don't know who's holding who at those boundary throw-ins.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not sure where it was, but Nick Stevens was frustrated with it because he's being grabbed and grappled off the scene, and he dropped the magic. And these days, evidently that's not allowed.
Well, Dean Brogan has now been a goal kicker in his last 3 games. Up against Sean Hampson here as we get back underway. And Brogan took it out of the ruck. Judd tackled him. It was almost holding the ball. Murphy, one way.
Another big game from Murphy.
He's played very well.
Had a good month.
Stevens takes it from Grigg. Fisher lurking.
Good.
And takes a low mark. Did it well.
Just polished football from the middle of the ground. Murphy involved, Gibbs involved. I think it was Stevens in the end involved. Smart play, give it off to the best kick. And he's plucked him.
Was a great kick, wasn't it? Good players just kick it to the right areas, make the forwards work to that area.
Started on the bench today, Brad Fisher. 1 goal, 3 to his name so far. Fans like it, and they have the quick reply.
Ball use in the modern game, Jared, we spoke about it before. You've got to get it in the hands of players who can kick the ball. Early in the game, it was Judd and it was Stevens. And even this last quarter, I mean, that's a perfect kick. He wasn't doing a hell of a lot wrong there, Stewart.
No.
He was in front. He just kicked it to the right area. And I've been impressed with Fisher's work rate today. He's missed a couple of opportunities. He could very easily have 4 goals. He's missed a couple of quite easy shots. Their setups worked pretty well today, the Blues.
Well, some confusion there with Port Adelaide in their setup. They had only 3 men in the square there to start with before Pearce was beckoned in. Brogan wins the tap. A little over 8 minutes played in the final quarter. Strong tackle from Pettigrew, who hasn't given up trying all day. Mark Murphy heard the call from Armfield, gives it over to Judd. Favola the target, but Carlisle takes front position in the mark.
There he is, Jared. Carlisle. Elapati, I think you're going to get him a Rising Star nomination this week.
Well, Kevin Shearn, he's the man that looks at all the reports on the young players, and I think right now he's under pressure.
Justin Westhoff, little undecided, but now finds Ebert. Thornton called back on the mark. Brogan retreats to the goal square. Now, this isn't beyond Brett Ebert. He's had a quiet day. Just 5 kicks. Has 1 point to his name so far. He's been a goal kicker in 3 of his last 4 games. Unloads from 45 out of tight angle, but don't worry, Ebert has kicked the goal.
Magnificent kick. And I was just getting some of the best stats in town from Champion Data. And they tell us, Pickers, and I want your interpretation of this, that Port Adelaide have had 32 running bounces for the day and Carlton have had 4.
Yeah, that would tell me that Port Adelaide are a bit confused when they get the ball and they're trying to run and bounce and create in the back half. I reckon that's where most of their bounces have been. Carlton have been first option all day, and probably their handball receives well up as well. How's that sound? Extra 30 handball receives.
Well, Port Adelaide kicked 3 goals in total in the first half. They've kicked 3 in the first 9 minutes of the final quarter. But the margin still a healthy 44 points in favour of the Blues. Brogan again strong in the ruck, this time against Cameron Cloak. Peter Burgoyne.
I've admired Brogan. Dean Brogan,
Yeah.
I think, has really worked hard. He's under some pressure. He knows he's one of the senior players. And I think he's taken upon himself to continue to lead in this very, very down couple of months for Port Adelaide.
I'll tell you what, Jared, what he's done, he's been able to displace Brendan Lade at the start of the year as the #1 ruckman. And I think he's tried his backside off in most games I've seen Port this year, and I've seen him quite a lot.
Sean Burgoyne giving away a free kick. Walker hands over to Nick Stevens.
He's got Cloak out the back.
Fantastic kick, though.
He plays on.
Go to goal and go to cruiser.
In the goal square. Fisher coming as well. They spoil one another. And Port Adelaide will clear. Farmer. Daniel Pearce.
There's another bounce. See where it is? Back half. It's because they've got to hold the ball up because no one's running. Look.
Pearce hacks it toward the half-forward line. Nick Stevens best placed. Appears to be hobbling just a little at the moment. Stevens finds Scotland, who can play on. And Thornton.
Vola will get some space here.
Stephen Brown on the left foot. Brings it back for Vola.
Well, he worked really hard for that. He was poleaxed the last time he went for the footy smithy by 3 or 4 other hungry Carlton forwards, and this time he's got a bit of space.
Yeah, it just hit him up there on the lead, Jared. As you mentioned before, he just got crunched. He's probably been crunched a couple of times today, where Cruz has probably played more as a full forward today.
He's had 6 shots, 2 goals, 4. He's kicked for the day. This will be his 7th shot at goals. Normally such a good finisher.
Goal kicker in the second quarter, the third quarter. And now in the fourth quarter as well.
And that takes to 61, the inside 50s, just 30 to Port, which we will get a number on that, but that would have to be close to an all-season low 30. There's the crunch. It was going to Cruiser.
Three big tall blokes all trying to make the same ball.
That's right. Let's have another look at it. Nice kick there. And then the big one to Fev.
Hey, Ryan, they won't have a run. Let them have a run.
83 goals now for Brendan Favola. Trying to track down Buddy Franklin in the race for the Coleman medal. Of course, he won it in 2006 when he was an All-Australian as well. Bryce Gibbs reeling out of there, may have had some head contact. He played 13 minutes in the final quarter.
I think they'd be happy with Jason Saddington's effort today too. Pickers leading towards the forwards. They've another option down there. They drop one young man and put Saddington in. A bit more experience, so they've got another option if they make the finals.
A little bit of trouble here, though, because he's back on Brogan, one out. Oh, he's getting some help now. Well done, Scotland.
Back with the flight of the ball. Hands over to Jared Waite.
There's a few more of those bounces. Let's see if this number is up here, Jared. He's cruising out having a bounce, 3 or 4 of them.
26th disposal for Waite. No one has more in the game. Carazzo back to Waite. Started this in the back pocket. Now up to the forward line.
Eyes on it, Troy.
Cruiser caught at the back here. Won't get a run at it. DeLuca couldn't take the mark. Carlton pressing again. Not deep enough with the kick.
Yours.
Thornton going back. Sean Burgoyne arrives to make a contest. Ebert did well at ground level. Now Sean Burgoyne into the middle. Lower. Peter Burgoyne. Lurking at the back is Brogan. Time to measure the kick. Will it bounce the right way? Unfortunately not for Dean Brogan. Quick restart from Jamison. Had an open man and he finds Carazzo. Now Simpson. Williams trying to close him down. Pass not a good one. DeLuca. Good second effort though from Cameron Cloak. Favola pushed out of the way by Carlisle. Carlisle has been up for the challenge today.
And on boundary line, Smithy, Peter Burgoyne off. He's spent and looks like he could do with a long and hard pre-season.
Yeah, Jared, you mentioned it probably in the second quarter that he just looks a little bit unfit at the moment. Obviously, he's been a little bit injured, but yeah, he certainly does need to. Looks like he needs a little bit of work.
Got nothing to kick to at all inside forward 50.
It's one of the great challenges, I think, for the modern player, and that's to keep yourself in the best shape possible when you're either injured or playing at a lesser level and not forced to do the running required.
Damon White with his hands full. Good tackling from Carlton.
So if you are actually injured and you are in modern day footy, you know you've got to just do everything you can to keep yourself fit.
Well, it's a lot easier to maintain fitness than to try and regain fitness. That's why you always stay on the edge.
Westhoff, third man up, wins the tap. Shark by Carazzo. Saddington has Gibbs riding shotgun. Good disposal as well as he finds Wiggins. Short pass for Cruiser. He has an open man as well.
Run here too.
And Simpson turns and runs with a bounce. 40 metres and closing the left footer sets sail for home, and Carlton extend their lead.
Hasn't had a big day, Cade Simpson, but a couple of my people at Carlton that I deal with quite a bit reckon when he's up and going, playing off the wing with his ball use inside 50 and his ability to finish, he's one of their most important players. And in this situation, he very rarely misses, Cade Simpson. That's a good finish.
Well, most of his possessions have been handballs, and he generally stands out when he runs, bounces, kicks like that. But he's had 5 kicks only and 11 handballs. But the goals always help.
Cade Simpson hasn't missed a game in the past 2 years and been top 5 in the best and fairest in 07 and 06 as well. That's 9 goal kickers now for Carlton. In a comprehensive display, they lead by 55 points, and they're still hungry for more.
No. Oh. What do you think, sir? Thanks, Dom.
17 minutes have ticked by here in the final quarter.
Play on.
Sean Burgoyne wins the tap. Went straight to Jordan Russell. And now it's Gibbs getting it from Grigg. Judd against Kane Corns. He's never been too far away. Carlton fans wanted a free kick. They may not need one. Well, the banana was an ambitious finish and a minor score from Simpson.
Let's have a look at this. He's impeding him, but got his arms out. Didn't have a grab at the jumper, but
Wow.
Kane Corns gets it from Pearce. Coming up for disposal, number 22. No one has more for Port Adelaide. Motlop and Brogan,
did
the
well,
two
Brogan.
forwards. Brogan takes the mark.
Well, he got rid of Staddington at the right time. Got him out of the way, and the ball was probably only 5 or 6 metres away, which gave him no chance with a bigger body to get his arm around and spoil.
I think when you watch the likes of Leo Barry and Craig Bolton, when you're up a smaller defender up against these bigger guys, they don't tend to go the man, they tend to go the ball. And you saw there Jason Saddington was going to try and spoil the man. He had no chance. He's undersized. He had to read the ball better than Dean Brogan, which he didn't.
Brogan, one of only 3 Port Adelaide players over 25 who are playing today. It's not going to make the distance. Well, Pettigrew was up high, couldn't complete it.
Yeah, it's about using the use of your body in the marking situation. If you're undersized, you've got to use it smartly. You can't initiate early contact.
You can't poke punch. You've got to get in.
Judd wrestles it away from Cassisi. Thornton wanted to help. Handball missed Carazzo. Walker there to help out. Padding their stats at the moment as they find a way out of the defensive 50. Stevens the target. With problems, Ebert from behind, Roden joining in. Free kick going to Carlton.
Jeez.
Drag him to the ground. Straight there, David, please.
Bit of a bonus, that one. I'm not sure he had prior opportunity, but maybe a ball up.
Mark Murphy, time to measure the pass.
Kick.
It's a good one. Playing on quickly, Simpson, underground pass. Wiggins controlled it brilliantly, gave it over to Heath Scotland. Time to kick the goal. He makes no mistake.
Well, just got play a bit fortunate, I think, with the Nick Stevens free kick, but Murphy set it up with a brilliant kick. And I just like the Chiefs' recovery. He was on the ground and he was up in a flash, and that set up this goal.
He did very well. There it is. This is a bit of play here. He's been pretty good, Wiggins. Done some nice things this afternoon. And Scotland's got plenty of it again. 21 touches, now got forward to goal.
Well, Scotland's been outstanding since crossing from Collingwood. He's played 103 out of a possible 106 games with Carlton. And best and fairest top 3 for the past 2 years. The margin out to 61. Which is the biggest that we've seen at any stage. Murphy works inside Peter Burgoyne. Favola looking dangerous. Takes the mark.
It's a good kick. He summed it up well, Murphy. He could have gone wide to Stevens. Stevens certainly calling for it. He's on the right of his right shoulder there, basically. He kicked it over the top of Carlisle. All he needed to do was hold his ground and put his arms up then. And a little touch on the back, but, you know, I mean, I'm glad they don't pay those as frees at times.
Well, Favola comes in 3-4 next to his name so far. They kicked the first 4 goals of the game, and they've kicked the last 4 now as well.
I don't think you can be too critical of the rising star of this week. I thought he was a bit stiff not to get the free kick, and I'll tell you why, Pickers, because come grand final time or come finals time, if Carlton get in the finals, he has got to get out of the habit in those situations of getting hands on back. And I know it was only minute, but other umpires will pay those. And he didn't have to. He could just turn his body, use the elbow.
For Vola with 4 goals, and some advice for Alapati Carlisle as well.
Well, I think Alapati's done a pretty good job this afternoon. The amount of the ball's been in there 67 times. Judd's won about the last 6 clearances.
Yes.
Wiggins up high again. Couldn't complete it. Simpson looks in port. Here's Andrew Walker. This is the man that kicked the first goal of the game. Port Adelaide shut him down. Kane Corns relieving hand pass.
40-18 the clearance count. As I said, Carlton, 6 of the last 7 games. That's an area Port Adelaide have dominated against Carlton. Not today. You can just see a bit of Brett Ratton on this group and the way they set up. He was a fantastic player in at the stoppages. Very controlling midfielder. Not as celebrated as some of his teammates, but he was the man that set all that up.
Hampson wins the tap. And we'll get a free kick as well.
Big Sean doesn't know it's his free kick. The big ruckman.
Oh, that's slack play, though, just to allow that to happen. Gee,
Sean Grigg.
on his left side as well.
Looks for Wiggins.
They've all stayed off him.
Turns around. Unprotected goal square. Unloads. It's going to stay in the field of play. And Chaplin will relieve the pressure and find Mitch Farmer. Little over 5 minutes left on the clock. 5 goals to 3 in the quarter so far. Carlisle deep in the back pocket. Stewart presents. Not a lot to go to, though. Ebert on the charge, a long lead. A good separation from Jamison. Damon White and Dean Brogan, the only 2 players in the attacking 50, are now joined by Sean Burgoyne. Ebert goes for distance. Saddington there with the spoil. At ground level, Brogan couldn't find it. Sean Burgoyne just reefs it out of the congestion, then had his kick partially smothered. It came back to him. Still going. Given some latitude, Kane Corns. Quick kick from Nick Salter.
Did well.
And Salter gets the goal.
Young Salter in just his 2nd game, a number of weeks ago, he was playing Norwood Twos. And we have a look at this here. It's a good goal. A very good goal around the corner. And of course, as we know, when you kick a goal at AFL level now, head for the interchange, off you go. And one of the very few clearances they've been able to win this afternoon.
Well, Nick Salter, in just his 2nd game, made his debut here last week, kicked 2 goals from outside 50 and was then concussed as well. Played for SA against Victoria a little earlier this year, starting to make a name for himself. Port Adelaide get their 9th goal, had only 5 at 3/4 time. 4 and a bit minutes left on the clock. Brogan wins the tap. Kasisi impeded. Couldn't win a free kick, though. Simpson did well, tumbling to the ground. Carlton continue to get the ball going forward, and Judd's overdue. He salutes the fans.
Even he was happy with that, Jared.
Yeah, it was a terrific build-up, actually. They kept the ball alive. And on the end of it came the flying Juddmeister. Here he is, gets the first one out. There he goes, he's off. He's running, he's still charging. The Chief goes to ground. There's a nice quick handball. And through comes the captain.
Now, that's a very rare celebration.
Yeah,
that's about as buoyant as he gets, Chris Judd, but he even enjoyed that.
Simon Wiggins has come off 2nd best in a tangle. Judd becomes the 11th goal kicker today for Carlton. Margin out to 67. It's never been bigger. Carlton's biggest win last season came against Port Adelaide. It was by 39 points. Done an excellent job today.
That was well done by Walker. He just sweated on, who was it down there?
Pearce.
Daniel Pearce to take possession of the ball, and then he just poleaxed him.
I'll tell you the other thing, it was actually not bad play. I was looking at the next 3 games for... They're winnable. Carlton might have a bit of trouble with Hawthorn in the last round, but North, I reckon, winnable. Certainly Brisbane winnable. I thought it was good play by Pearce not to cough the ball up there, and he took it all the way to ground. He had no prior opportunity.
Yeah, they are falling away, the Brisbane Lions, at the wrong time of the season. Copped another 10-goal belting today.
Cade Simpson charges away, needs support, provided by Scotland. Cloak and Favola stay in the goal square. And eventually they were kept a little too deep. Mitch Farmer takes the mark and has support out on the wing. Will find Tom Logan. Plays on quickly to Peter Burgoyne. Well, needed to give the handball straight away. Elected not to, then found himself in trouble. Good body work from Thornton, but Cassisi there.
Should have given first give there to Logan.
Logan back to Cassisi. Retreating to Peter Burgoyne. And now Farmer.
Done some nice things today, Farmer.
Yeah, been good.
I don't know why he's looking that way.
Had 9 disposals and 6 tackles in his debut last week. Surgeon. Cassisi under pressure to Westhoff. Ebert leads now. Deep kick. Working against
Ebert.
Jared Waite. Ebert gets goal side but can't complete it.
Thrown him into the midfield this last few minutes at the last clearance. He was certainly there for the bounce.
Gibbs took it from Carazzo. Looks for Hampson. Again, they have loose men. Scotland runs onto the ball.
Where's the fifth?
40 metres out. Scotland going deep. And the ball knocked through by Troy Chaplin.
He's got to start leading under these circumstances, Fev. He's just sitting back. He's been a little bit stunned by, I guess, not being the main target. And I thought on that occasion, with Scotland charging through the middle, he just should have presented.
Come right up, Brendan, to me.
Otherwise, he ends up with 2 or 3 on 1.
Less than 2 minutes remaining. Chaplin looking for Pearce. Scotland right there with him. Now he has 2 to beat. Daniel Pearce eventually controls the ball. Had support, elected initially not to use it. Now we'll get it back again. Stewart half volleyed it. And now they look for Tom Logan.
Kane, right there. Stay there.
He's got some skills, Paul Stewart. I like the look of him. He's a player that I think their coach will put in the bank and say we can build next season with him slotted into one of the positions.
I like Thomas as well as another young player with a bit of aggression, who's obviously not playing today.
Matt Thomas, yep.
Yeah, Matty Thomas, who was very good early in the year before he was injured. Look, they've got a number of players out, Port Adelaide. We know that. And there's a lot gone in for surgery. They really miss Chad Corns.
Yeah, you throw Boak and Sellepek into the middle.
With Chad Corns.
And the domino effect happens right across the ground.
Treadrate as well, who's obviously out.
Ebert from right on the 50 unloads. It's forced through for a minor score. We've played more than 30 minutes. Longest quarter we've had this afternoon. Carlton are going to enjoy this victory. It will be their 9th win of the season, and Collingwood currently have 8th spot on the ladder with 9 wins.
Been a big game from Brett Thornton. He's just played a very, very solid match.
Well, they're a bit of an undersized back line. They haven't got a lot of big bodies down there. You know, Thornton plays a bit above himself normally, a bit taller than he actually is. Jamison does, normally gives away a bit of weight as well. Weight's stiffened him up a bit in the back half, though, and they've been able to get him free in the last few weeks, which has worked really well for Carlton.
Well, that's 400 disposals now for Carlton. Every player for the Blues is in double figures. Port Adelaide a tick over 300, and it has been a famous win. Carlton come up with their biggest victory in 7 years. They've taken Port Adelaide to school and prevailed by 66 points.
Well, that picture sums it all up, Jared.
Well, it just wasn't competitive from Port Adelaide. Mark Williams would hate that. I mean, he's alerted everybody that they're building towards next year. But after last week, I think we all came here expecting Port Adelaide to put in a much better show than that. But on the other side, Carlton delivered, and they're not letting anybody down at the present time. They are building, continually getting better in, week out. I see just elements of improvement today. Carazzo went forward, Cloak went forward. The Chief continued to play well across the half-back line or the full-back line. I think that Jared Waite was superb, as was Thornton. And there's much to like about the Blues, and Walker was one of their major supporters, I think, or major pluses today. But Rowan Smith's down on the ground, where the bloke has improved week in, week out this year.
Well, Bryce, it was a pretty important game for you today, especially to stay in touch, to play finals.
Yeah, definitely. It's a big game, and we needed to win this one to keep in touch with them, and good percentage boost as well for the boys.
Just in saying that too, 56 points up at three-quarter time. You've probably never been in that position before.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit of a funny feeling. We come in at half-time. Haven't been in that position too many times the last few years, but we come out after half-time and just wanted to win the third and last quarter, whether it was just by a point or whatever it was, but wrap for the boys.
Port Adelaide last week really took it up to St Kilda and actually should have won the game. You knew it was going to be pretty tough for you today. Yeah,
definitely. They're down the bottom this year and haven't got they're just going for broke, so we knew they were going to come out firing, and it's just good to have another win.
So have you spoken about actually wanting to play in the finals tonight? Is that something that the players have spoken about before?
Yeah, definitely. The competition's so even now, and all we have to do is just keep winning each week, and another big game against the Kangaroos here next week.
Well done, congratulations, go and enjoy it.
Well, 9 wins, Carlton now. I thought pre-season, even though with the inclusion of Judd, I thought 8 or 9 wins would be a good year for Carlton, but their second half of the year has been outstanding, Jared.
Well, some clubs have fallen away, but Carlton have gone the other way. They've continued to go up, and I think the other thing was that Fev just had a game today. He kicked a number of goals. He got 4 goals for, but he wasn't at his absolute best, but he had a lot of people around him contributing. Their midfield's what's just growing in stature. Stevens is having a fantastic half a dozen weeks. Judd's, you never hear about Judd's groins anymore. He's just continuing to get better. And Bryce, Gibbs, Mark Murphy, and 2 or 3 others that are going through there at the present time collectively are a formidable group.
That's a very big positive side today too. I thought Andrew Walker across half forward, kicked 3 goals, provided a real target up there, especially in the first half with his pace and his movement, his ability to mark overhead. But you're right, when you talk midfields, they've got some, a number of players they can run through there. You look at some of these players, I mean, Gibbs had it 30 times, Murphy had it 28, Carazzo plays around the midfield with 34. But then you've got guys like Scotland pushing off half-back and having 25. I liked Armfield's game today, Jared, especially in the first half. I thought he was terrific. They've got a number of players they're only young players too, so they've got a lot to like about this team. May not be this year. It may not be their turn to play finals this year. Mind you, some of the sides above them are starting to fall over. You just never know. At least if they get there, they'll go in with some good form and some good confidence.
Yeah, a couple of sides above them have got a wobbly boot on, including the Brisbane Lions, who got belted today down in Tassie.
And Collingwood as well, who have the 9 wins and hold 8th spot at the moment. Carlton now with 9 wins on the season. The last time the Blues played in the finals with 2001. This is their biggest win since 2001, and they have beaten Port Adelaide back-to-back for the first time in 12 years, starting to create their own history. This young team at Carlton, and Brett Ratton will be very happy with what they have produced today. Right from the opening siren, they kicked a goal inside the first 3 minutes through Andrew Walker, had 4 goals in the first quarter, 4 in the second, 4 in the third, and they finished with 6 goals too. Took them until the last quarter to get their accuracy right, but Carlton big winners here over Port Adelaide by 66 points.